I'm Nicolas Altstaedt and half German, half French. I live in Berlin and I play the cello. I would say thoughtful, melancholy, lyricism, I would say darkness at some point, and but it means everything for me, the cello, so it's like very dangerous to reduce it to a few words. It's the I mean, the cello is my life, and it's the tool with how I express myself, or I basically live or survive. Yes, at some point I discovered a script 2 years ago by Fellini that someone told me about, and I had never heard of that before. It's the script, The Travel of Giuseppe Mastorna, that Fellini wrote, and Fellini was inspired by a plane landing in a snowstorm in New York to write this script. He was very anxious during that landing, and he wrote immediately down this script about a cellist who is on his way from Florence to Hamburg, and who gets into a snowstorm. There's an emergency landing next to a Gothic cathedral, inspired by the Cathedral of Cologne. And the cellist lands there, and the people are moved from the plane, and he doesn't know exactly where he is. He sees familiar buildings, familiar squares, familiar places, familiar people that he hasn't seen since a while. He cannot really tell what time it is, if it's day or if it's night. They are brought to a motel. He tries to call home. He cannot reach his wife. He cannot reach his family. Interesting characters are appearing, and at some point he understands that he is dead already. And this journey is about a musician who doesn't know where he is, and he tries to find his way home. And that I found a very, very fascinating script. So he was very superstitious, so he thought, like, if he's going to make that movie, he's not going to survive. And so he planned the movie. The producer prepared the movie. There was a set, everything was prepared and built. I was fascinated by this story because a traveling cellist is something that we all experience, and we also have to play in a very short time at different places and in different time zones. We are always looking for our own center, for our own home. I mean, we never really knew what is, or we are always searching for what is where are we ourselves. We are there on stage, we play this, we play that, and there we get to know these people. We create something else every night, and at some point you are so much devoted to the art or to the music that you don't know at some point anymore, who am I, and what is happening when I'm not performing music, working on music, or performing on stage, or giving music to people. What is my personality, and where I belong to? And this is very much the story of a musician's life that Fellini writes down there. I was thinking, what could I do with the cello? The cello has to be the protagonist in this story. You have to express this story by the cello. And what is this world that Fellini describes in the script? And then in the few weeks where I was very, very tempted to continue and develop this idea, I met Volker Bertelmann, alias Hauschka. I met him in Finland at a festival where he was improvising with a very dear friend of mine, Pekka Kuusisto. We had a chat in the afternoon, and he told me that his favorite instrument is the cello, and he named himself Hauschka after a Bohemian cellist, Vincent Hauschka, who lived in the 18th century, and that he always wanted to compose something for cello. I found very fascinating about his music the variety of sounds and a very enigmatic world actually he creates from the grand piano. He creates sounds on the grand piano that you cannot link to that instrument, because he prepares the piano in a very, very fresh and very unpretentious way. I heard so many different things on that evening. I smelled so many different colors and heard so many different noises just coming out from this instrument, and I thought that could be maybe the world, this really unlimited world, where the Mastorna, the cellist, the protagonist, is trying to find his way home. And then I was asking Volker if I was actually not asking him. I just had the book with me and said, like, this is something you should read, and let's talk about it very soon, and or call me when you have read it. And then a few weeks later we were on the phone, and I told him about my idea to do something about that. And then he said, like, yeah, he's up for anything, and let's see where this goes. He took 6 different keywords from the script that are very symbolic and very important, and he's going to write 6 different movements based on this Fellini story. I found very fascinating that Fellini, who never finished this movie and who was superstitious and very afraid to not survive if he is going to bring that story to an end, he asked his storyboard painter Manara to make some sketches about the story. And when he asked him to do that, Fellini actually died 3 months later in 1993.